Welcome! This is Crafters Tavern number 21, I think. And this is the fourth Friday of the month. So, fourth Friday, US time, 8 p.m. Eastern is when these shows happen. Thank you to everyone who joins me either live or recorded. And obviously, all comments are welcome on the toilet roll over there on the side. And this episode will be about what gets in the way. So it is very loose theme, but we'll try and stick to that as a central core premise of what we're going to talk about. I have been a little bit light on content, primarily because I am super busy with work at the moment, and I apologize that certain of my videos have not been coming out as regularly as they would have been on both my channels, so I apologize for that. Lots of things happening. I'm trying to get 70 System, the basic edition for patrons, out by the end of July. I am also going overseas for 2 weeks. I'm going back to Africa, back to my roots in South Africa. I'm visiting my mom, and I really appreciate all the comments and everything people have been doing on my videos, because I am always, every day, answering comments on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, none on Instagram. I've never posted anything on Instagram, but I am there. And also Twitch, where I only follow, I do not put content on. But if you are going on Twitch, if you're a Twitch person, check out Brad Smith's channel, Devious Painting, I think it's called. He can correct me in the comments. I randomly went on there the other day and won a dragon, which is still in the mail. It's taken about 3 weeks to get to me. It's not his fault. It's the fault of the ever-present poor postage exchange between anywhere in Australia. It takes a long time to get around. So, thank you for joining me. So, really, this will be a discussion about what gets in the way. So, generally, last time we talked about time management and all that kind of stuff, and this time, what gets in the way? What stops one from crafting? Or when you're using terrain, when is there too much terrain? That kind of discussion. So things that would get in the way of crafting, other than time management, would be lack of materials, lack of tools, and also lack of inspiration. So that's why video channels like Scotty and Blackmagic Craft and Wyloch and everyone else who puts videos on the internet, they are great for inspiration. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, of videos now in this niche which allow you to basically create virtually anything in tabletop role-playing games. The only place that's really lacking, as we've always said, is in science fiction. And that is because science fiction is a very broad term, and fantasy is pretty much stuck in that sort of Tolkien-esque style, so that sort of medieval period of time where it's pretty much going to be the same style of things. So science fiction is very broad, so that can be science fiction in history, science fiction in the future, science fiction on different planets. So it's very difficult to nail down what that specifically is, and that's pretty much why you don't see as much of it. But if channels are going to become and start developing content, they'll most likely develop content about specific science fiction. So there'll be Star Trek terrain, Star Wars terrain, Stargate terrain, Star everything terrain. And, utilize those sort of things. Warhammer 40k terrain, Shadowrun terrain, whatever. All this will begin to develop. So that inspirational part, if you're having a problem with inspiration, that's really what these videos are for. That's what all the other channels are doing. They get inspired by each other. They go, I can do this in a slightly different way, or a better way, or any other kind of way. And so you can get a feel of what is different and how to use things differently. So that's why videos like my tree videos, although they're based on what Scotty originally did, I have changed it in a way that makes the trees a little bit more functional when you're adding trees, etc. So welcome to Shannon and Eric. Thank you for joining us. Of course, if you want to, you can also Skype. And the Skype name is the DMG Info. So, be prepared. Lefty Holmes. I don't think we've seen Lefty Holmes before, but welcome anyway. So, yes. So, if you're struggling for inspiration, video tutorials are obviously a great place to start. Then there's tons and tons of other places to gain inspiration, especially for terrain building, and that would be things like railway people. There are also tons and tons of channels that are about railway dioramas and all that kind of thing. Thanks, Eric. That's great. Yeah, what gets in the way? Getting in over your head. I think it may be a bit of more than I can chew. Absolutely. So yeah, if you're looking for inspiration, try alternate avenues. One thing I've been watching this week, I've been listening to, is videos from the GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference that happens every year. And although it's all about computer games, there's a lot of things in terms of how people design the graphics and the worlds and the levels and all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot that you can draw from those videos in terms of how you can utilize that to actually put that into terrain yourself. In terms of how mechanically they will put things together, what kind of features they have. So you can always draw inspiration from different genres in art, different genres in technology, all this kind of stuff. You can also watch a lot of videos on things like geology, or if you watch any kind of science programs and that kind of stuff, you might see graphics on, artistic interpretations of what certain things would have looked like in ancient times, or all this kind of stuff. Very, very cool in terms of getting inspiration from that. We have a call. It's Wyloch. Hold on one moment. Bill, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Let me just plug in my headphones.
Can you see me okay?
I can see you. I'm just going to have to add you here. Hold on one sec. You're super big in the screen at the moment. All right. So what I was talking about inspiration. I don't know if you were listening, and I was about to say that one of the other things you can do is go out into the real world and visit like historical sites, other countries, and bizarre places that are surrounding you in the real world that will really give you a new perspective of reality, and also things you can do to improve your terrain building. But hi, how are you anyway?
Good, man. I just walked in the door. I got home from a business trip, so I didn't hear your kickoff, but you just prompted me.
Yeah.
That all sounds great. I don't travel much, so I do use Google image search a lot for inspiration. Lately, I've been doing a lot of structural stuff, stonework, and simple ruins, and exactly what you were talking about is what I've been looking for.
Yeah, it's a very important. It's a very important part of the procedure is that inspiration. It's foundational to the whole process. If you're not inspired, you're just going to sort of make things randomly with no desire, with no sort of feeling of accomplishment or whatever, you're not going to last very long. And you go, no, this is crap, I'm not doing it anymore. So, that's why I like the fact that there are different styles of doing things. There's Scotty's style, there's my style, there's your style, there's Jeremy's style. There's actually different ways of doing things. And of course, some people are going to like some ways better than others. I mean, obviously mine is the best and yours is rubbish, but...
That's right. Yeah, completely.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, there's no competition, as in like, who's going to get the most people doing their stuff or whatever. It's like, that's not what this is about. It's about inspiration. I love the 1.25-inch squares. I think that's a great idea, especially when you are talking about old maps and that kind of thing. But then obviously you're then playing a gridded game. So, if that's your kettle of fish, then that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think Scotty said it best, craft what you need. Sometimes I fall into this trap too, just crafting for the sake of it, or because I'm bored, or I got writer's block, crafter's block, whatever, and you end up sitting there for an hour and you don't really accomplish anything. So I've found that I've stopped doing that. When that happens, I just go do something else, and when I have a need for something, then I go make it. Don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like currently I'm doing wilderness terrain because people have been harping onto me for about 4 years to do wilderness terrain. So finally I'm doing it. But, if you're only going to be playing in a dungeon, then, wilderness terrain, you don't need to be doing that unless you're going to have some kind of weird wilderness underground. You don't need it at that point. So, that's why I started with dungeons, because that's where you're going to spend most of your time. So, and that's what you're talking about, is build what you need. So it was like, okay, passages, rooms, doors, tables, chairs, these are the things that are going to be everywhere. And then as you go on, then you're going to get more and more specific. So, it's things like dragons, how to build a dragon. I mean, I don't think I've played with a dragon in a game more than once in 30 years. So, to me, sitting down and building a dragon is about wanting to build a dragon, not about using a dragon in the game. So there's that aspect of it as well. It's like, I just want to build something cool. They're like the purple worm that Scotty does. It's like, you may never use a purple worm in your game, but go ahead and build one if you want to build one, because it's a great little project to do, and it looks great in the end as well.
Mike Nicholson says, I attempt to copy things outright. It always ends up unique anyway. That's a really good insight. Early in my channel, I did the potion vendor. That was something that I saw in a random, I don't know if it was a Google image search or a website or something. Someone was selling terrain, and I'm pretty sure it was like casted or something, but I saw a piece that looked like that with the slanted roof and the open front, and I completely stole that. But I made it specifically into the potion vendor, and like Mike said, it always ends up unique anyway, and that people seemed to really like it. So I would say 75% of the things I make, including my tiles, by the way, which are based off yours ultimately.
You stole my idea.
A morphed version of it.
Yeah. I'd just like to say hi to Mel, the terrain tutor, the grand master of terrain building in war games.
Holy
Welcome,
cow,
Mel.
Mel's here?
He says dragons are friggin' cool.
Yeah.
Dragons are cool, but it's like, if you have a dragon in every single session, then, then it's a big problem.
Mel, I just bought a cork round from watching your episode the other day. I'm going to sanitize it, and then I intend to make some cliff faces terrain tutor style. So, thank you.
You should Skype us. It's the DMG info is the Skype. You should. I mean, I'm always listening to his Sunday chats while I'm driving, because it's Monday morning for me. Telling us to piss off, I think.
Yeah, I think he's 60 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's delayed.
Yeah.
So look, that the key thing is, what gets in the way when it comes to inspiration is, you sitting there in a corner and not being inspired is not how one gets inspired. One gets inspired by exploring. So exploring the craft, exploring the world around you. Mel, it's 1 a.m. So what? What's that got to do with the time of day? Yeah. So if inspiration is your problem, explore something different. So it's like rolling on a random table. If you're having a problem and you're stuck in the game, so you just use a random table to kind of spice things up. You could kind of do that with this. It's like watch a random kids show or something and look at the environment that they've created for that show. Sometimes there's a lot of great art that goes into kids shows, or go to a toy store and just sort of wander around to see what's actually, there's a lot of things you can find in toy stores. You don't necessarily need to buy anything, but you can actually get the shape or the idea of what that toy is, and that can then lead to other things. So there you go, Mel. There is my Skype name, and if you add it on, I'll be able to bring you into the conversation. I know it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but I think everyone would like to hear from you on this.
How does it go? Crack on?
Crack on. Let's crack on.
Right, guys, we're going to crack on, and I'll be back in a second.
Oh, man.
Hi, guys. Mel, the TerrainTutor here.
Your accent for Mel sounds exactly like my accent you did in that video.
Yeah, I know. It's not America. They all sound the same.
You and the America there.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mixture of North and South, East and West. It's a mid-range international American. Yeah, the Diablo 1 is a fantastic inspiration. I feel that mixed with Warhammer Quest. To me, Warhammer Quest is one of the best board games ever. It's so unfortunate that I don't have a copy of it anymore, and it's like to buy it new. Sometimes it's like $700 or something to get the whole thing. But it's just a fantastic, fantastic inspiration. And of course, I never play anything the way it's meant to be played. I always modify it to my own way of doing it. But really, my channel is essentially, if you look at it, it's really just Warhammer Quest terrain. It's like the same kind of corridors, same kind of rooms. Shh, don't tell Games Workshop. Just reading their comments here. Yeah, I think Diablo 1 is great because, it's that single dungeon, and the dungeon terrain begins to evolve as you go through the dungeon. What I didn't like about Diablo 2 was everything was all over the show. So rather than centralizing it in one point, you're having to traverse terrain to get to another small, like 1 or 2 level thing, and then you traverse terrain to get to another small 1 or 2 level thing. So you don't really see a transition in style like you do in Diablo 1. It's the same thing with Diablo 3. Again, they've taken Diablo 2 and niceified the graphics, but you don't get that sense of transition. You do obviously in the wilderness terrain, but because you're traversing that prior to going into the dungeon each time, and it's only 1 or 2 levels or whatever, it just kind of loses something, and that to me is what I don't like about the 2 sequels. The first one to me is always the best one, because it's very simple and it has a great transition from top to bottom. You know, it's very clear that things are getting worse. You know, the whole place is beginning to crumble around you. You're going into the depths of hell. You know, it's a very clear transition from the top to the bottom. So anyway, that's my mini rant about Diablo.
Yeah, you get that sense of progression.
Yeah.
And it's a shock the first time you go into the new, level 5 where it changes for the first time or whatever.
And the first time you hear, fresh meat, you're like, oh, what the hell is this? I mean, obviously I played the shareware version so many times before that game came out. You know, I'd killed the butcher probably about 300 times prior to the game actually being released. You know, so when you then start playing the game and you then see the dungeon begin to transition into other types of terrain, that was great, because you think from the shareware version that it's only going to be one sort of style and it's just the monsters are going to change. But it actually transitions very nicely in terms of the way it looks, which is very, very cool.
So for exotic terrain, I love the aesthetics of Final Fantasy VIII. It's got this weird conglomeration of like kind of Eastern, but kind of alien, but kind of, I don't know, it's really out there, and I think pretty unique. I don't think I've ever seen anything else much like it. And then Final Fantasy VII is great for steampunk. So kind of dating myself, but I could replay those infinite number of times.
Well, I was in Japan. I've been to Japan twice, and each time it was the same time of year, where you're in Tokyo and it starts raining and all the neon and everything starts, and you feel like you're in Blade Runner. It's just like the best sensation ever.
Yeah.
It's like this actually exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this is an actual place you can walk through, and then, you know, like, you got to go home and watch Blade Runner again, because you've actually been in it. You've got that gritty sense of, you know, this extremely urban environment, you know, built up concrete, neon lights, you know, all manner of people running around doing crazy things, street vendors, lots of little, you know, cooking and all that kind of stuff happening in the side streets. Hold on one sec, we're bringing in Mel. You still with us, Bill? Oh yeah, there you are. Mel, you there? Mel, what's happening?
Hey, gents.
What you up to, buddy?
Audio.
You can't hear me?
Let me know if me not having headphones causes any feedback problems, guys.
Seems to be okay. Oh no, I can hear myself. Yeah, I can hear myself.
Yeah. Right. I'll pause it. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right. So Mel will be with us in a few secs. I'm just going to adjust the screen caps here so that we will be able to have Mel on the screen at the same time as Bill. Bill, are you still with us? I can't hear you. You're probably muted. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. There.
Unmute.
There
Yeah?
you go. Yeah.
All right, so while you're working on that, Click says, decided to start D&D, about to follow DMG series for the boards. Any tips? Coincidentally, I'm working on an editorial, probably going to hit next week, and it's called New DM, Don't Craft. So I know it's heresy, but for someone who is a brand new DM doing their very first session, and I have like a 10-minute thing on it, so I'm not going to go into it here, but generally I'm just wondering, Gareth, what's your gut reaction to that? If you're going to do your very first session, brand new DM, new to the hobby, my advice is don't craft anything for the first session.
I would agree with you, because you playing in the first session, you'll realize why the terrain makes such a big difference.
Right.
And you'll also start to realize what terrain is going to be important. So you otherwise you're going to build stuff, and then what players always do is they go in a completely random, totally different direction to what you thought was going to happen. And then then it becomes a problem. However, having said that, I do believe as a completely new DM, if you're playing with players who are completely new players, you should railroad. Only because you should railroad, yes. Because because the players don't know how the rules work, and you as a DM need to control the situation to a point where you are not going into territory where you don't know what to do. So the very, very first session with brand new players, I would absolutely railroad. I would plan it out to almost to exactly what happens. Obviously allow space for some chance, but I would railroad the very, very first session. But only the first session.
And if you really got the bug and you want to craft, just do something for the final encounter, which is going to happen. The bad guy's throne room or something, an arcane device that they got to bust up, whatever. Just make a set piece for the final encounter. Don't try and prepare for the whole night.
So because you're railroading, you're going to get there. And if you're running out of time, cut out some stuff and just get straight to the end. Because obviously that's what you're preparing for. If you've created this end puzzle. Hey, how's it going?
Better, much better. Hello there.
Hey.
So, I know you role play with your kids, Mel. But Bill Wyloch from the channel Wyloch's Crafting Vids was just saying, if someone is new to role playing, they should probably not craft anything first and play a session before they start building anything. What would your opinion be on that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, building terrain is investing in your game. I mean, if you haven't started playing the game, what are you investing in?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I play lots of different games, but there's only certain games I really want to build terrain for, because that enriches the experience beyond what I'm already getting. It's the icing on the cake, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's your passion for the game, that gives you the motivation to make the terrain.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, unless you run a YouTube channel, you don't go out and suddenly decide, you know what, today I'm going to make containers.
Which are great, by the way.
Thank you, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean. Your motivation for terrain has to come from the game. So I think you've got to be gamers first, and then when you fall into that game and you say, right, I want to step this up. It's about enriching the environment for everyone, because terrain is what's the best way of describing it? Terrain isn't something you do to show off. Yeah. You paint your models to show off. Do you know what I mean? Your fluff, your rules. That's how we show off as gamers. Yeah, either, I've done all this, or I've done this, or I've done this. Terrain is one of those things that you do for everyone who sits at that table and plays that game.
Yeah, it's a unifying experience. It kind of brings everyone together in the same sort of feeling, I would say.
Well, it draws them in, doesn't it? I mean, it's an investment in a game. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you go... I mean, I walk into Warhammer World in Nottingham, and you can see people soaked into a game because they've got this opportunity to play on something which they just normally wouldn't have anywhere near that opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, the game's definitely got to come first. I mean, come on, let's be honest. You'd be a bit gutted if you spent 4 weeks building a load of dungeons, played the game, and realised you didn't like it.
We were talking about inspiration earlier, and you did that interview with a guy who did the terrain in the Tower of London, I think it was. And,
oh yeah, the Dave Marshall Agincourt display.
Yeah, and I like going to museums for that reason. You get so much inspiration from a lot of the models and things that they build for, where the dinosaurs and the ancient human beings and the the weird creatures from days past. There's obviously that's a lot of diorama stuff, but it's like sometimes wow, I'd really like to play on that.
It's that alternative opportunity for inspiration, isn't it, at the end of the day? I mean, as people who make terrain, you can walk out anywhere. I mean, Dave says that he's constantly getting distracted by buildings. He just loves them. Yeah. And so he'll stop and take photos of random buildings. I'm not allowed to drive in the country because I get distracted by nice trees. And I know exactly what you mean about the museums. For me, more than the museums, it's movies, and it's the Hollywood sets and computer games. Yeah. I always say that, when you look at a computer game, what you've got to remember is someone has paid a professional designer lots of money to make that beautiful and realistic. Yeah. So why not nick their ideas?
And also there's sometimes little games that aren't multi-million-dollar budget ones. I was just looking at one called Hidden Folks, which is a small indie game, and it's all hand-drawn. And it's like a Where's Wally? And it's a black and white hand-drawn, but it's these massive images where you can click on stuff and little animations happen, and you've got to try and find these little figures, same as a Where's Waldo, Where's Wally, depending on where you are in the world. And that in itself, I like, as you can see in the background, my line drawings and things. I really enjoy that kind of illustration. So to me, that's enormously inspiring. And obviously from a terrain standpoint, it's not as inspiring, but from an artistic standpoint, when you have something like that inspires you, it then bleeds into everything else you're starting to do. So when I started... sorry?
No, I've been mixing with it in the art community since I got my own studio here in Stoke, because I'm in like a communal set of studios. There's about 42 studios in there and like 35 are occupied. And one of the artists turned around and said, all art is stolen.
Yep.
And it is, you think of absolutely anything. I think of anything, I've gone out and I've got inspiration. I've got techniques from somewhere else and I've applied them, and that's how we learn and that's how we do. It's inspiration and techniques and all that sort of stuff. But pretty much all art is stolen. So, we're essentially professional thieves, mate.
Yep. But you can say that about pretty much any discipline. I mean, science is all stolen. I mean, it's all built upon what came before. If you look at a game any game is built upon all the games that came before it. So, every role-playing game is built upon D&D, and D&D is built on wargaming, and wargaming is built on card games, and,
No, D&D came first before wargaming, didn't it?
No, wargaming's been around. Little Soldiers, I think it was called. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking I'm thinking probably more GW, because the GW ranges and everything came off the back of them having large role-play collections. But if you go back, the old boys did used to role-play with the old metal models and stuff like that, thinking about it.
I mean,
I'm such a fanboy, aren't I?
I mean, you look at the Royal Game of which is like 4,000 years old or something. It's an actual board game, and it's actually still very entertaining to play. There's a lot of great videos on it. It's kind of been rediscovered recently in the last few years. But it's a fantastic little game. I was actually thinking about creating a board on my channel for the Royal Game of It's really, really good.
Don't you find that when we talk about games, and we're going to show our age here, but I remember Jet Set Willy and Dizzy Island Egg. Yeah, and the graphics on them were poor, in all honesty, in comparison to even poor games nowadays. Yeah, I mean, we were the guys of, your character had one colour, and that was it. You know what I mean? But the gameplay mattered. Yes. It was the simplicity of the games, and the graphics meant that games had to be successful and how good they were to play. And that's carried through. That's the same as all the ancient board games. They weren't sophisticated games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because they were simple, they were good games. They had to be good games, or people wouldn't play them. I mean, there's a lot of people who'll jump on games nowadays because they are so sophisticated. You get so many models, whether it's a computer game, whether it's a board game, whether it's a war game. Yeah. And you buy into the image.
Yeah.
Yeah. And find out actually the game isn't that good.
Yeah.
You know, because of the gloss. But when you take it to the simpler games and the games of old, yeah, they were always the better games.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes there's a lot of... It's all right. Sometimes the modern games, there's a lot of sizzle and no sausage.
Yeah, yeah. I've come across a few computer games like that, and a few war games like that, where the hype is bigger than the game. I mean, I blame Kickstarter for this, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be, and games used to go through a process where they had to be developed well, and then sold and promoted. And the community, for that game to exist and to thrive, the community had to buy into it and play it and support it. Yeah, and now we've got a situation where the community is buying into a game before they've ever rolled the dice.
Yep.
Well, I mean, so I think it's leading to a case.
From my perspective, I mean, I'm busy developing a game which I will probably put on Kickstarter, but my whole thing, but my whole thing is you are correct. I 100% agree with you. You know, but I'm attempting to build a community for the game prior to the game coming out, so people at least have an idea what the game is, how it works. They've seen it in action, you know, so that when the Kickstarter arrives, anyone who looks up the game, there's a whole bunch of material that's there already, so they can make a more informed choice about whether this is actually something they want to see. They can see it in action, because I find with a lot of Kickstarters, it's like, this is how great our game is, and these are all the colorful cards you're going to get, and whatever, and it's like $50, $100, whatever, you put in your money, and then a year later you receive the game, and it's like, yeah, it looks great, but the actual gameplay is pretty crap.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to name names, but, you know, it's
no. At the end of the day, there's no need to name names, because I think we all agree that the Kickstarter process takes that sort of community quality control out of the process of launching a game.
Yep.
You know, and selling a game. You know, it is essentially pre-sales, you know, so there's no need to name names, because there's plenty of candidates.
Yeah. I mean, what I've been trying to do is, you know, I'm exposing it piece by piece to the community through videos, obviously. So, I mean, ultimately, if you didn't want to buy it, you could just watch the videos, and you can get the game essentially for free if you watch all the videos. You know, so, you know, but the idea is, with interacting with the community, there's things I've adapted and changed in the game because of feedback I'm getting from people.
But you see, in that context, you're doing exactly what we do with Terrain.
Exactly. We
create Terrain, to enrich the gaming environment, and people buy into the game because, you know, we're enriching it because they're engaged. Yeah, you're doing the same with the community. Yeah, before you're giving them the game for free. Yeah, and then the Kickstarter is the enrichment process where you get it all proper. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. You're not drawing out your own stat sheets. You get your mod. I don't know what you're actually doing, but, you know, you get your models, you get your dice, you get your rule book, you get your nice packaging. However you decide to do it, that's the investment and the enrichment, and that works. Yeah. You know, because it's exactly the same as the idea of the Terrain. You know, play it. You don't need to buy it, but if you like the game, why wouldn't you buy it? Why wouldn't you have, you know, the right stuff, and at the same time support you, who've made a great game that they love?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a very clever man, sir.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the first experiment with it was my Under the Tavern series, where I thought I'm going to create a module. I've always really wanted to write a module, and every module I've ever read I didn't like. So I wanted to do my own sort of spin on things. And so I thought, well, you know, I don't know if I just put up a module, I don't know if anyone would buy it. So what I want to do is run everyone through the module so they can see what's in it, and then they would, you know, then it would either go, yeah, this is good, or this is bad, or whatever. And so I just piece by piece started releasing the module on my channel. And at first, Yeah, and at first you feel like I think people are just gonna throw tomatoes at me, and everyone will just say, you're absolutely rubbish, and what are you doing, and blah blah blah. So it's a because no one had really ever done that before, I don't think, and so. And it was amazingly successful. I mean, I've probably sold 1,500 units of that in the various different versions of it.
Excellent, bud.
So, and that's what said to me, well, if I'm going to build a game, I want to do basically the same thing. I want to release the game piece by piece in video form, so that people can get an idea of how the mechanics work, what the different things, what different aspects there are, etc. So that when the game actually comes out, they've already had a taste of what it actually is. So they know what they're getting into. If they don't like it, then they're not going to make an uninformed decision and drop down some money, and then obviously do all kinds of negative reviews and whatever.
Sell the kits on eBay and all that sort of stuff, correct. Which devalues the game, because it makes it look like, it's not worth keeping. Yeah. But no, it sounds like you've got a solid plan, dude.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll work.
Well, at the end of the day, it's like everything, isn't it? Yeah. We all have our different passions and that sort of stuff and things we want to do, and you just got to give it a go.
Yeah.
You're either successful or you're not. Yeah. But at the end of the day, unless you give it a go, you're already one of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you starting your terrain channel, the reasons behind starting your channel, and now why you do the channel is, it's becoming, the main focus of who you are in terms of, our perception of you. And it's
your great. Perception, even the kids are calling me the terrain tutor now. Do you know what it's like to turn around, and be standing in the schoolyard, and some random child walk up to you, and you're talking like, 9, 10, come up to you, good tutorial, or caught your live show. You're like, what? Because I'm quite personal, what I mean. I am quite personal on live shows, and that sort of stuff. Anyone who follows my channel know, you know what I'm like. Yeah. But when one of the school kids you don't know, it's like, I mean, I went through a phase, where there was a big group of the parents who used to tune in on Sunday night to follow the show. They got nothing to do with wargaming or hobbying. They were just other parents from the school. It's like, that's strange.
Mel, the education tutor.
Do you know what, mate? Yeah, I got into it because I wanted to share my passion and all my other reasons. But first off, I had no idea how successful it was going to be, and it's been amazing. It's been a hell of a ride. But there's nothing that prepares you for being a YouTube tiny minor celebrity, in terrain making. It's a weird situation because it's like, if I go to salute, it's like I can't walk 20 foot without someone, saying something to me. But at the same time, it's getting to the stage now where people are recognizing me in public. I got recognized in KFC. I'm just standing there ordering my food, and a guy comes up to me and asks for a photo. And it's like, it's 8 o'clock on a Friday evening. I've got the kids with me, and it was the first time it's ever happened in public. And I'll tell you what, that was a weird experience because I was just about to rollick the kids for being little shits. And it's like, right, do I have to watch what I've got to be like in public now?
Now you know with the paparazzi.
I don't know how celebrities do it. I'm not trying to brag. I am nothing celebrity-wise. I'm just a little bloke who, makes people laugh on YouTube. And, as communities go, our community, the terrain-making community, the people who are interested in making terrain.
Whoa. Whoa. Hey, what's going on, boss? Hold on. We just lost Mel. I'll call you back. Sorry, everybody. I clicked a button I shouldn't have clicked. Where's Wyloch? I'm restarting Skype. I don't know why the Skype has stopped working. Alright, let's get out. Start again. I apologize, everybody. That was my mistake. It's mega button of Skype destruction. Now, out of my 40,000 icons, where is Skype? Because normally it's on all the time. Here we go. Sorry about that, Mel and Bill and Lee. I'm keeping it real. It wouldn't be a crafter's tavern if stuff didn't crash or have some sort of problem. It just won't allow me to call. What's going on? Let's go out and come back in again. Please stand by. The old dead air part of the program. There we go. There we go. Right. Let's try this again. Hello.
Hello. What did you do?
I pressed a button I shouldn't have pressed.
Oh, you pressed the big button, didn't you?
Yeah, the big
I
red
think
button.
you missed a really good diatribe by Mel.
Do you know what? Yeah, we could have kept that running. Were we live then, or did you just like end the call?
I think I ended the call somehow.
Okay, we've got a new guest. Hello, dude.
Yes, Lee from DM Insomnia. How are you?
Okay.
Can we hear you now, Lee? You there?
Hey.
Hey, your volume is very low.
Oh, this headset sucks.
So Mel, what I did get was you were at KFC and the guy took your picture, and then you were about to scream at the kids, and then you were going on about the being at Salute and being a minor celebrity, and then I hung up on you.
Yeah, we wrapped that sort of conversation up, and basically the point that I was sort of making was that experience of people recognize you without you recognizing them or knowing them.
Yep.
Yeah, I certainly got a newfound respect for what you've got for celebrities, because like I was saying, you can't misbehave.
Yeah.
I've suddenly got to be careful about, what I do in public with my kids and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm a bad parent or anything like that, but it got me on my toes. But, we were just talking about that. Right. You had a question for me, bud.
Did I?
Not you, bud. Not you, bud. That bud.
Oh, Lee.
Please.
No, actually, I do have one question, because I've never really gotten the chance to chat with you.
Okay.
When? All right. All right. All right. Let me change my mic real quick.
Okay.
All right, so I'll take the opportunity to say, Mel, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Yep. So
I think
right,
this is
everybody
actually,
take care. Have a great evening.
Right,
Good
no,
morning,
wait,
wherever you
before
are.
you black out.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Can we hear me now?
Hold on 1 sec.
Right. You'll have to forgive me, mate, because I'll be honest with you. I don't follow the watch. Which channel is yours, dude?
DM Insomnia.
Right, DM Insomnia and
Wyloch's crafting vids.
I thought that was it. Yeah, but what you call it? He was like, is it? I'm not sure. Because I tend to follow a lot of channels, and I'll be honest with you guys, you know, I don't really watch the D&D ones that much because I'm not into the D&D crafting, if I'm perfectly honest. But, you know, I do keep an eye on you, you know, just in case you venture into my territory and I have to beat you back with a stick.
All right.
Yeah.
See you,
Good
Wyloch.
vids, dude.
All right, guys. Have
Cheers,
a good night.
mate.
You too, bud.
Oh, sure. I hop on and he bails. I see how it works.
It's all right. I'm bailing in a minute, mate. It's bedtime here.
Oh.
Go on. What's your question, dude?
So I've been doing the crafting thing for only like 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. When would you say was your first real big craft that you made? Like how long have you been in the game?
How long have I been in the game? I started crafting at 5. Spit it out. Okay, come on, don't freeze on me there. Come on, okay, I miss. Okay, yeah, I said 5. It's shocking, but you didn't have to leave the call, dude.
Whoa.
You back?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, that was really weird. It started at 5 and then it froze on me.
All right, same here, dude. Right, yeah, basically at 5. Yeah, I would say my first War Games terrain piece was at 15. Now, let me put this into context. When I was a little lad, okay, my mum and dad separated and I lived with my mum. Yeah, my mum ran a craft shop, okay? And we were quite poor at the time, you know. And so I spent summers and school holidays sitting in the shop. Yeah, nice. And in the corner of the shop, she had a small selection of railway supplies for the railway modelers, and you know PVA and balsa wood and bits and you know things like you know. And my mum is quite a crafty woman, and so I used to make I used to make horrendously poor dioramas, yeah, for my little toy soldiers. Yeah, and I used to get little air-fixed tanks as I grew up, as I got to about 9, 10, and we used to make polystyrene hills and fire elastic bands between them to shoot. Yeah, my first proper War Games hill, yeah, or terrain piece was at 15 because that's when I got into Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Yeah, and I decided to apply, yeah, everything I thought I knew. Yeah, and I made this hill out of polystyrene, and I'd heard, yeah, that you use plaster bandage to make it solid.
Right.
But no one had ever actually told me how much plaster bandage. So it had about 15 layers on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, literally 15 layers. Now, I also wanted to paint it, and I knew nothing about painting terrain or anything like that. But my mum had got me a sheet of plyboard 6x4 that she painted, yeah, goblin green gloss. Yeah, because I'd asked her if she could paint it for me. You know, that's what I wanted as like a birthday present.
Right.
Yeah, and we got some of this paint left over. So I painted this hill with this goblin green gloss. Yeah, it was hideous. It was solid. Yeah, I used to have these set of shelves and I used to use it as a step to put my armies on the top shelf. Yeah, it was indestructible. I'm damn sure that, you know, where in a million years and when all traces of civilization have finally been wiped and this planet is just a dried husk, you know, a dusty husk, somewhere in that desert will be a green gloss polystyrene hill, yeah, still surviving. Yeah, but yeah, nice. I've been in the game a long time. Yeah, cool. To put it in context, I'd probably say crafted a lot as a kid. Yeah, got to my teens, got into wargaming, also because of the crafting as a kid, got into making my own terrain, which was pretty damn poor, to be truthful. Yeah, but making it for Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Yeah, so woods, hills, couple of buildings. Got to about 18, yeah, discovered alcohol, women, joined the army, lost interest. Yeah, had a life, got to sort of late 20s and realised I wanted a hobby. And then just fell back into wargaming, and terrain took off from there, mate. So yeah, I've been in the game a long time. I am a long-tooth vet.
Yeah, well, that's where I watch a lot of your videos. So it's like, I'm like, man, with all this stuff, how long has he been doing it? So it's nice to actually be able to talk to you.
It's just one of those things. It's been in my life that long that, you know, I won't say it's never easy or anything like that, but my life doesn't feel complete without it, because it's always been in my life in some way, you know. And when it wasn't in my life, I did feel like it was missing. You know, I missed wargaming. Yeah, I missed crafting. But you'll know yourself, yeah, that crafting is incredibly therapeutic.
It is.
You know what I mean? I often call a lot of my terrainiacs, you know, broken people. And I don't mean that as an insult, but I find that a lot of people with a lot of stress, a lot of mental health, a lot of health issues gravitate to training. Yeah, because it's something that they can do in their home. You know, you don't need to, you know, so for the guys like me with mental health issues, you know, I had anxiety getting into it, you know, and that sort of stuff. It allows them to do something and connect with the community without leaving their home. You know, and it's incredibly rewarding to actually make something and create something, and the pride of finishing it. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think Mel would be a happy chap without terrain in his life. In fact, I already know I'm bloody miserable.
do you think that the ability to control your environment when you're crafting is what helps you with that?
Yeah, I do. There's definitely an element of it, and I think it's also the fact that you touch on a key point there. The environment, it's your environment. Let's be honest, we all get lost in our games. Yeah, games are what we go to get away from all of this. You know what I mean? Life and that sort of stuff. So it makes sense with, I mean, you guys will know with crafting, yeah, that your concentration is sometimes that extent that you're not even listening to the video you've got playing in the background. You know, and anything that absorbing has got to be good for you. You know, if you need to take your mind off it. And then I've always said, you know, obviously art is always proven to have therapeutic benefit. You know, painting, being creative, you know, exercise is a different part of the brain. It releases different endorphins, you know, into your bloodstream. You know, it's incredibly relaxing. Your heart rate, when you do art, yeah, you have a far lower average heart rate. Your heart settles. Yeah, blood pressure comes down. It's brilliant for cardiac patients. Yeah, but on top of that, I always think, especially with the terrain, maybe not so much with the dungeon stuff. I can't really comment on that. But with the terrain, because it's nature, nature is also very therapeutic. Yeah. Looking at green, you know, green is a very therapeutic colour. You know, it's why we feel good when we're out in the country. Yeah, like why we're relaxed, and that's
why we like to kill orcs, because their blood is green.
Yes. you see, we like our violence sanitized.
That's right.
Yeah, we can be completely violent, yeah, and completely brutal. Oh yeah, I turned around to the lad. We were playing Dungeon Saga earlier, yeah, and Willow was playing Necromancer, and one of her skeletons did over the barbarian proper, yeah, and I went right. She's got a sigh and literally took your head off, mate. And it's like, she's 9. He's 12. You know, we have the most gruesome, barbaric descriptions and scenes.
I saw RoboCop when I was 8.
Oh, what you call it? To be truthful, yeah, I did it. No, it's okay. It's not illegal because it's not an 18. It's a 15. I watched tonight with Corbin. I watched Soldier with Kurt Russell in it.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know the bit where he rips the other guy's eyes out on the chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Corbin's reaction was like, "Whoa, what are you showing me, Dad? Is it all?" I'm like, "No, that's probably as extreme as it gets, lad."
Oh, no.
You know. Yeah. But it was like, you know, our wargaming is quite sanitized violence, and we like it. You know, I think it's quite therapeutic in that section because, you know, you can get your aggression and your violent aggression out on the board game. You know, you see accountants, yeah, who are the most mild-mannered people in real life, yeah. You get them in front of the table, they are vicious. They will kill everyone they see, and they will be brutal about it, and they will grin as they do it.
Perfect.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's nice. Yeah, but you know what I mean? We've all had that bit where you've had that opportunity of, yeah, I can crush this. You know, I'm going to crush him. You know, the civilized thing would be to, okay, you've beat him. You know, you don't need to take it for, no, I'm going to destroy him. You know, and we have the gamer gloat about it. You know, I don't do it all the time and stuff like that, but there are occasions when, yes, I am mighty and I will vanquish my foes.
As a matter of interest, have you seen the pizza box builds?
I've seen that you've done videos on them. I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked at them, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, mainly because I'm repulsed by the idea that you use bloody pizza boxes to make a table, dude. I mean, it was like, I think I turned around once on a live stream and I went, you know, I turned around and it was like, knowing the DMG, if you made a table, he'd make it out of bloody cardboard, and you bloody did.
Oh man,
I'll be honest with you. That's clever crafting, man. That's some lateral thinking, and you deserve kudos for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I had the idea
on that code.
I had the idea years ago, and I bought all these pizza boxes, and I did some tests, and I was like, wow, this actually works quite well.
Yeah. I am calling shenanigans on this one. Yeah, you didn't buy those pizza boxes to build a terrain table. No. Yeah, you wanted an excuse to buy pizza.
I wouldn't be the man I am today without pizza.
Then again, yeah, let's be honest. We've all gone shopping and we've bought something we don't need because either the packaging or something about it is, I can craft with that.
My wife hates that. She'll send me to the store to go get stuff for dinner. I will buy the product that's $1.50, $2 more expensive because the package is cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
My wife doesn't mind.
Shopping.
My wife doesn't mind so long as I come home with a cup of coffee. So long as she gets fancy coffee, I can buy whatever.
Well, my kids get these things. It's they're called cheese balls, or cheese puffs, or whatever, and they come in these gigantic flipping barrels for like $4, $4.50. And the reason they say they buy it is so I can have the container when they're done to hold terrain stuff. That's how they get my wife to go along with it.
Do you know what? Yeah, mine is sweets. Okay.
Yeah.
In the UK, you'll get novelty sweets, and you'll get like toxic sweets, and they'll be in little plastic barrels and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like they're perfect. Yeah, and I am forever buying stuff, and it's like I bought the kids some sweets, and Kez will just look at me and like, you git, because she knows exactly why I bought them. You know what I mean? Right, guys, listen. I hate to bow out. Cheesy balls.
This is the thing. I've got like 3 of them.
Right, but it's 2 a.m. here, so I'm going to have to bow out of this call.
Thank you for joining us.
No, it's been a good laugh, mate. I think we've had an hour, haven't we? Bloody hell, I think almost.
Yeah, well,
all right, well, listen, I'll bow out.
Thanks for joining. I'm gonna end the stream now anyway. So thank you everyone for joining us. And of course, you know, it wouldn't be my channel without like button. And of course, you know, if you're gonna watch any channels on terrain building, you're gonna watch Mel the Terrain Tutor, and you're gonna watch the DMG info and decide that pizza boxes are the way to go, the way of the future.
Like button.
Like button. Anyway.
Like button.
Like button.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Catch you later, guys.